Attending our Grant County Community Corrections Board meeting. I'm going to call to order. The first order of business is the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from our May 19th, 2026 meeting? Everybody's had a chance to review the minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, Judge Meeks, motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, David Wickfield seconds that motion. We'll accept the minutes. We'll move on to the financial reports.
Yeah, the financial reports are in your packet. You'll see those are right after the minutes. If you've got any questions on those, I'd be happy to answer them, but everything on our accounts is balancing correctly. Sarah does a great job of making sure our monthlies and our quarterlies are always submitted on time to the department. Answer any questions that you might have. If not, then we just need a motion to approve those, reports.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move. Or second, whichever.
I can't believe Greg Kitts
Yeah.
was
Thanks for that.
great, and then David Wickfield on the second. So we'll move on to the next order of business.
We just have to vote on that.
Oh, that's true. We need to vote on that. All those in favor of approving thank you. All those in favor of approving the financial reports, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Yesterday, last week.
Hearing no nay, it's been passed. The next meeting is Tuesday, October 6th at noon. That meeting will also take place in the Grant County Council chambers. Moving on to new business, staff spotlights.
Yes, thanks. And I'm gonna turn that over to Melissa, who's gonna talk about our most, if you recall, our last meeting, we weren't able to do the other staff spotlight that we wanted to do because they were not able to attend. So we're doing that today. And so Melissa's gonna talk a little bit about the person and present our token of appreciation.
So, this meeting, we're proud to recognize Gary Dalton. He's back over here trying to hide out from the spotlight. This is probably his least favorite thing to do right now. But we want to kind of recognize him for his outstanding commitment to evidence-based practices, staff development, and meaningful client engagement. So Gary is currently assigned as a probation officer to our reentry court program, and he's going to celebrate 29 years with court services this year. Throughout his career, Gary has consistently demonstrated professionalism, leadership, and a genuine commitment to helping justice-involved individuals create lasting change. So, to kind of give you some data around some of the work that he's been doing, in 2025, Gary achieved what's really an exceptional incentive to sanction ratio of 9-to-1, and best practice standards have historically recommended a minimum of 4-to-1. With emerging research suggesting outcomes improve significantly when agencies reach at least 6-to-1. So Gary is operating well above even best practice standards, but even emerging research as well. Gary's work consistently exceeds all of those expectations and reflects a strong focus on reinforcing positive behavior change. During supervision meetings in 2025, Gary completed 479 targeted interventions addressing criminogenic risk factors. His average rate of contacts involving what we require people to teach and address evidence-based skills exceeded our agency policy standard by 8.5%. He demonstrated both consistency and intentionality in his interaction with clients. So beyond direct supervision responsibility, Gary plays a major role in strengthening agency culture and staff development. He serves as a learning team facilitator, helping staff to practice and strengthen evidence-based communication and intervention skills. He also serves as a peer coach, and that means he conducts direct observations of supervision appointments and facilitates follow-up coaching sessions focused on communication skills. Gives feedback, and he serves as a central role in our continuous quality improvement process. Because of his leadership and professionalism and ability to connect with others, Gary's frequently sought out as a mentor for our newer staff and emerging leaders within our agency. He's also facilitates our in-house groups, programming designed to reduce recidivism and strengthen personal growth. And the two major groups that he focuses on are responsible thinking and traumatic stress and resilience, which is targeted for men. And perhaps most importantly, Gary's impact is clearly reflected in client feedback. So we began doing anonymous session rating scales after supervision appointments. We wanted to know how is the work that we're doing translated to the people that we're serving, right? So is it meaningful? Is it impactful? And so we want to capture that data to help us realize, okay, are we matching the skills of our staff to the needs of the people that we're serving? And so Gary maintains an exceptional, I actually looked at this again this morning to make sure I was giving the most recent data. And it goes on a 4.0 scale, and Gary maintains an exceptional average score of 3.94 as it relates to client feedback. Clients consistently report that they feel heard, understood, respected, experience a supportive and caring approach, find Gary easy to talk to and non-judgmental. They receive practical guidance that helps them make better decisions and avoid future trouble, experience meaningful growth and accountability, attitude, and life direction. Some common themes repeatedly shared in these surveys include: he listens, he helps me, he cares, respectful, understanding, easy to talk to. And the feedback consistently highlights Gary's ability to build trust, to foster accountability, and create meaningful opportunities for change. Clients don't simply rate him highly, they describe experiences that reflect genuine support, personal growth, and hope for a better future. Gary's dedication to clients, staff development, and evidence-based practices continues to have a meaningful impact on our agency and the community that we serve, and we're grateful for his leadership, his consistency, and nearly 3 decades of service to court services here. So we just appreciate you, Gary. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we have a little gift for Gary with all of some of his favorite things in there.
Thank you.
So one of the things that Melissa does, and if you're wondering, hey, why are those items in Gary's cup? Is that she put out a survey to people, like, what are your favorite things, your treats, your snacks? So at different times, in order to be able to reward people or appreciate, we will give them the things that they like. So, for me, if she was gonna give me something with coconut, I would not want coconut. But there are some people that like those. So, she's done a really good job of keying into what people like. And so Gary's favorites are caramels and caramel and chocolate. So that's why he has that. And he also likes salty stuff. So, yeah, that's what he likes.
Well, that's tremendous. Anybody who's worked with Gary, knows Gary, met Gary, knows what a valued member of our community that he is. So keep it. It's always nice to hear that. It's always the highlight of our meeting. The next agenda item is DOC updates, funding cuts, grant, updated fee schedule.
Yeah, it's always good to lead with a little sugar before you get the salt. And this is nothing that's not happening around the state. There are program funding cuts happening all over and the results of those, when those community corrections grants are those that are funded from the Department of Corrections. So we just happen to be one of those that is looking at a loss of funding. And that funding for us could have an impact as far as services are concerned. We have asked for support from the commissioners in the commissioner's budget to help with our benefits. And my understanding is that'll be considered at budget time. Our hope is that, for as long as that we have been doing this, this will probably be the first time that I think we've ever asked for funding support from the county. And, yeah, about almost 30 years, since that's happened. I guess, there are some encouraging, shafts of light about, the funding cuts. Just this last week, I spoke with Representative, Lori Reeves, who has been advocating very, diligently at the state for, funding restoration for us and, for other counties that she represents. And so, she received an email, from Representative McNamara, who is the chair of the study committee that's meeting. And, she said that there's a, strong possibility that we will receive, additional funding yet for 2027. So that, obviously, whatever we received, we would go back to the commissioners to get approval for those additional dollars. And then we would reduce the request that we would need from the, county to be able to support benefits. In addition to that, for calendar year 2028, our IACAC representatives spoke at, the last state JRAC meeting. And Justice Goff, made the statement that he believes funding will be fully restored in 2028. So, I think there's a recognition for the hard work that, community corrections does to be able to help, local, jail overcrowding and other issues in criminal justice. So, we have submitted everything that we needed from the state. They've approved all that. But some of these cuts for some of these counties, I'm, with the relationship that we have here in Grant County, I'm not sure that exists in other counties. And so I don't know that the funding helps that they'll receive that from their locals. I'm hoping that they will, but anyway, that's the, I don't know if anyone else has any more information that they want to share, that they've heard from, the state as far as funding is concerned, but that's where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, Chris, I have heard from this, actually had a conversation even today about it. So everything I'm hearing is that there is a possibility of funding restoration. And so what my counsel would be is that we don't change provision of services or take any drastic actions as a result of the cuts that we're aware of now, and that we, kind of move forward with what we've been doing and see what happens in the near future, because it looks like the General Assembly, we got their attention and they intend to, honestly, it was an unintended on behalf of the General Assembly that these cuts would happen in this way, is kind of what we're hearing. And so they want to restore the funding. So I would say, let's not make any drastic steps at this point. If we can get help from the commissioners or council in order to continue business as usual, I think we should do that. And, it seems like that the future is much brighter.
Yeah.
Restore the funding in 2027 or 2028.
I think both.
Okay.
I think both. That was the short-term discussion.
Yeah.
Is, I think the people at the state are trying to find additional dollars that they can move to be able to support community corrections. In the next budget cycle, when they start that in January, I think there'll be a strong push to then restore all the normal funding. So there still could be cuts, but not as dramatic. Some counties are cut 49, 50%, or they've eliminated programs, eliminated pre-trial, and eliminated problem solving courses. And luckily, if they can infuse some money in 2027 and then restore funding in 2028, things will be back on track.
Because the unintended consequences of decisions like that is once you remove problem solving courts, it's difficult to get them back.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And that's the same for programming, for for home detention for us.
All of the
And
programs.
that's
Sure.
69 people. in home
Eliminate that.
detention. So,
Then restoring them is not as easy as just restoring them.
right.
We've eliminated that. Anybody have questions regarding funding, cuts for Chris? Any other discussion, questions of any kind, funding cutting? All right.
And then the next item, Judge, just to jump ahead there for you,
Please.
is an update to our fee schedule. So that's in your packet, and you'll see a drug screen patch, a $50 EBS fee for patch. And we've had a few clients on home detention mainly, that because of their work schedule and their hours, they have asked to be able to go on a drug screen patch, which would then keep them from having to come in specifically at specific drug screen times. But but we did not have a method to be able to charge them a fee for that patch in order for it to be able to come. So it'd be at their request to be able to do that. And so we just want to add that to the fee schedule. And that really just barely covers our cost about what it is. We're not making money off that. We're just covering costs. And I just need if everyone's agreeable, I just need a motion and to get that approved.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. The motion passed unanimously. And I believe the next is the mid-year performance measures.
Yeah, I don't need an approval of that. I just wanted to provide you that data and information. This is, it's part of our grant, performance measures that are required. And as it relates specifically to our reentry court, part of our reentry court funding includes, dollars for, programs, Thinking for a Change and for HEAP. And so we have data that's in there on that and our delivery. This is a minuscule amount of what the programs and in-house groups that we deliver. But it does cover part of our funding for that. And it also includes screening in our reentry court. And so you can see we are meeting or exceeding the numbers required that we set for our performance measures. So answer any questions. It's for information only. I just wanted to make sure that everyone had that in their packet. Answer any questions.
Any questions for Chris regarding performance measures? Hearing no questions, thank you, Chris. The next item is SEA 9Q2 submitted email. That'll be July 9th of 2026. That's also in your packet. Sent out.
And just if there's any questions that anybody had on that, that's always, it's a new requirement. Not just necessarily new now, 3 years and running, but, it just covers the numbers that we mentioned earlier that we serve on home detention.
If everybody's had a chance, I know you have, to review that information. Does anybody have any questions for Chris regarding what's in your packet? Thank you, Chris, for also putting that in the packet for the committee to review. The next item, this is under the local advisory council section of our agenda. Detention Center Jail Recruiting Work Group update. I know we've got Mr. Poling here. Sheriff Garcia, I don't know, he hasn't attended the last couple of our meetings, and I'm not sure why that is.
I don't know, I can reach out to him and see if there's a schedule conflict a little bit.
I know he's been the subject matter of the last couple agendas, and not having his input, it affects how we conduct business. I think it'd be a good idea for either myself or Chris or both of us to reach out to Sheriff Garcia and let him know that your appearance here is important. You need to be here. Why you're not, I'm not sure. So, Mr. Poling, did you want to step in where?
Well, as far as the D home, we're working on it right now. So we're gonna have one pod ready in probably about a week, all the way, to show you what it all looks like. But we're working on the rest of it, cleaning it and all that. But we're really going to the council, next council meeting, and I'll have all the figures. Without the painting, because I've called 10 companies, it's unbelievable, we can't get an estimate. And, but we're probably gonna be looking around $1 million. With everything, get it open. That's not, not, that, I mean, that's just what we gotta do to the building. So we gotta replace the boilers, which are around 400,000. We got some IT equipment we gotta update, so I'll be going to the council to ask for all that at the next council meeting.
It's very clean back there, Chuck, because we can smell the bleach.
Yeah, I kinda wondered about that. Can you guys shut that door to keep it from going into the other?
Yeah, they tried to shut the door, and then they tried to, now today, they probably can open them doors, but the humidity so
Yeah,
bad the other days, it makes the ductwork start sweating.
you end up with water and
Yeah, look
humidity.
like you got water in it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we do.
I appreciate that, Chuck. Appreciate that update. One of the questions I have is, we had met for a time, and I was a member of the work group, the jail overcrowding work group. If we've met, I don't know that I've received notice that we've met as an overcrowded jail. We used to meet, Judge Spitzer in your courtroom and had a lot of open, transparent discussions about what we can do to combat jail overcrowding. And as a part of those discussions, a lot of great ideas came out of those discussions. Home detention, pretrial release. We had a lot of work release. We have a lot of really good ideas were formatted in those committee meetings in your courtroom. And a lot of those ideas made it past just talking about it and became ideas that we actually implement now. So do you know if we still are having those meetings? Because if we're not, I think we should, and I would certainly volunteer to attend.
Well, I think our last thing has been pretrial home detention. And so we kind of, that was our focus and our deliverable at that point. And so we did the policies for that. And then that has just been implemented and up and running. I've got, or I should say, Melissa has a report. In terms of, we got last report I heard was, is it 20 now? It was 19 before. So, so the focus was really on getting that up and running. And so, we can certainly call another meeting, if need be, to continue to work on that. As you indicated, we have accomplished several things as a result of the efforts of that work group.
And I think that's really what happened out of when we started talking about the juvenile detention and the jail overcrowding work group, was this subcommittee to talk about jail alternatives.
Right.
And so that reason that meeting hasn't continued is because of the jail alternatives. And I guess we gotta figure out, I guess, some way, Judge, to be able to distinguish. We've got the detention center jail overcrowding work group. That's really about what are we gonna do about people who are in part, what are we gonna do about a facility? The second part is like, what are alternatives that we can put in place that help eliminate or aid in jail overcrowding, which is, we had several ideas. I mean, one was work crew, and then that morphed into pretrial home detention.
It did. And I think we'll hear more from Melissa on that, but that's an exciting program that certainly, I think, is going to be a very, very effective program to address jail overcrowding. And I think having these meetings, and I'm not, I know that recognizing the fact that everybody's busy, but having these meetings might generate some more discussion about ideas, and then subcommittees to be formed based on those individual ideas. But we could certainly come up with even more ideas as to combating jail overcrowding, which would then hopefully form additional subcommittees. And what I really liked about the meetings was that you had most, if not all, of the stakeholders at these meetings. And for any of these programs to be successful, there has to be buy-in from the prosecutor's office, buy-in from the public defender's office, buy-in from the sheriff, buy-in from the commissioners, buy-in from the council, buy-in from the judiciary. And having all of those voices in the room on a frequent or semi-frequent occasion, I think is only gonna serve to knock out the bad ideas, to fully develop the good ideas, and then to make sure that everyone's on board. And if you're not on board, we should hear why you're not on board, because there might be a valid, good reason why you're not on board. But you're either gonna be part of the solution or you're frankly part of the problem.
Judge, what I'll do, I'll work with Chris and Melissa to find a new date for a next, I think it makes sense to level set where we at. What are we doing that's working and how it's working? What are some other ideas that are out there? So why don't we see if we can get a new meeting on the calendar and
And we, next week, we've got, 30 is our cap.
mhm,
And so I think next week we have a couple that are on there set for intakes. So, we're only 6 or 8 away from
right.
at our 30.
Well, Melissa, can you just bring everybody up to speed in terms of where we're at on the program?
Pretrial home detention has been quite the adventure for us. It's been, anytime you stand up a program, it takes a lot of additional work and, you kind of go through some barriers that you didn't anticipate and you have to rework and kind of reset. And, we've had a great team that has been willing to jump up and say, okay, how do we make this work? How do we bridge what we know and, what works and, how we, kind of step out and do something that's kind of newer, right? So, for us, pretrial home detention is more about, more than just emptying out of jail. It's about helping people get access to care. And so, we just replace them with being detained in the home and don't do any services. We're not helping them. And so we're using this time to get them referred and, should they so choose to take advantage of those opportunities. Several of the people that we're working with are highly motivated in getting services, which is encouraging to see. What we've realized is, as of last Friday, we had 20 people already in the program, and that's really quick to stand up a program and get people in. And so in the process of doing that, we had to screen about 164 inmates. So in the background, we're screening a bunch of people, and maybe they don't make it into because of the charges, they don't fit the target population, the housing is an issue. And many of the individuals that we are able to move into the program required additional assistance before even getting in. And so so that's important to us in the sense that they're gonna come out to the community anyway. And so we are helping them establish themselves as they come out to the community. And so, we're helping with, like housing resources and things like that. So we had, as of Friday, we had 20 in. One person's already completed the program, so they've already had their case resolved. So that's really quick. We actually had some people, approved for the program and they ended up taking a plea, so it got resolved and they were out of jail. And so, you start to see different things, having, kind
Which is
of,
a success,
huh?
which is a success
Yes.
because you moved a case.
Yeah, because you're moving the case, so you're seeing additional unintended benefits, coming that way as well too. And so, we had one terminated just this week, because not everybody's gonna be successful. We took a different route with that individual. And then we had one, unfortunately returned to jail, yesterday, based on some significant violations that were, making it not safe for the community at this point.
We can talk about that. So, sorry, finish your report, but yeah.
And we have 2 set for court appearances to be considered for the program next week. And then we have 3 additional ones that are pending housing. So we're looking at being about 87% full soon. And so that's a big accomplishment considering all the steps and all the things that we've had to work through in a short period of time. So as people come in, we're assessing risk, we're assessing need areas, we are making referrals to services. The participants do a self-assessment that help us to kind of guide the conversation in terms of resources that they need in the community. We document all of the referrals. The about average referrals when I looked last of people that have completed all of those, once being in the program is about 5. So they're being referred to 5 community resources. And so, you're seeing, based on what we're seeing is a high risk, high need population, which tells us 2 things. One, we have the right people in jail. We're not bringing out a bunch of low risk with low need individuals. And 2, we are serving a population with that we'll see the greatest reward on, right? So if you can reduce the risk and reduce the need, that's where you're gonna see your biggest bang for your buck. It does mean also that it makes it a little challenging for our staff because they're high risk, high need. But we also have some that, may be higher need, but maybe not as high risk. And so it allows us to do what we do really well. And it's this concept of risk, need, and responsivity. And so it's understanding what one person may need is not what the next person needs. And how I interact with this person may not be exactly the same as how I interact with that person because it needs to change based on the individual. So it's not a one size fits all. It's taking a look at the individual, which takes time and a significant amount of investment and skill on the staff's part. So it's looking at what does this individual believe they need in order to be successful. What we're seeing is also a high employment rate. So consider this, they're coming out of jail. And then the return on their ability to get a job really quickly is a positive thing. So we're looking at things that are gonna stabilize people when they're in the community. And so we're starting to see some of those positive trends kind of pop up for us, which will mean it's setting people up better for success as they reintegrate. So there are some additional encouraging data points that are coming out that maybe we didn't fully anticipate when we said, let's do pretrial home detention. And so, but what we're seeing is some really progress in the people that we're serving and helping them have a more of a seamless reintegration from the jail. So, so that's kind of what we've been doing over the last month and a half, probably, focusing in on and kind of readjusting some responsibilities within our office because it's, if you think about trying to screen 160 some people, it does require additional hands that we didn't anticipate, but our staff have been really great to say, I'm willing, I'll help, let's go. So people aren't sitting back saying, well, I didn't sign up for this. So it's a testament to our team as well to say they're invested as well, whether they're serving in that role or not, so.
Melissa, you shared, I know some data that I thought was interesting with us. So 100% having a high probability of substance use disorder in the screening. 88% required placement in a sober living residential treatment or the mission. So that tells me that we're hitting our target population. We talked about this being targeted towards people with SUD. 84% have multiple cases. So, most of them are not just one case. There's 2 or more. One of the changes we made at our last judges meeting was that it's not just multiple cases, but we also are allowing people who have probation violation and a case then to come on to home detention as well. So kind of expanding that too. So I think, good approach. Seems to be hitting the target population. I think we're doing a pretty good job, Jess, in getting review hearings scheduled. Is that right?
Yes, it's pretty seamless at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're turning, and we're getting. I think we've been trying to do those at least 90 days. Is that right, or sooner?
Yes, 90 days or sooner for that secondary review hearing.
Okay, so
Yep.
we're probably not into yet seeing some of those review
I
hearings.
believe we
Probably.
will have our first one on September 15th will be our first one out
Okay.
of circuit court. So
Okay.
out of all the courts, but it's in circuit court.
Yeah. And I know I set some earlier ones because I had some people that are looking at drug court, and so we are trying to, and then I'm prioritizing people on home detention coming into drug court and vet court on the home detention that we're paying for, coming into drug court and vet court. Then I think the other thing I wanted to talk about was, had a conversation with Mike yesterday, sort of how we handle people who are violating it and what is their status once they are violated and booked back into the jail. And a good question that Mike asked was, does that go back under their prior determination of bond, or should it be no bond? And what my thought was, when he and I just talked last night, was let's do it no bond, and then a request for a hearing date to determine that. So I don't know what the other judges think, but I think we've given them the opportunity to be on home detention. They violated in some way. In this case, it was had left or had been kicked out of the place that they were. I think at that point, no bond is appropriate, but then you could set a hearing, for redetermination if need be. So,
I completely concur. We had the situation yesterday.
yeah, that's it.
Same one.
Yours,
So,
yeah.
so we addressed it as no bond because, that's just the appropriate way to address it. Because I believe that we want folks that want to be engaged and active in services, want to be gainfully employed, want these opportunities. And if you're violating, that's not my definition of you wanting to do this program. And to build on what Joe Spitzer is saying, is that I've been a judge for over 12 years, and this is the most exciting program that I've been aware of since I've been a judicial officer. To me, I can't even imagine the amount of work that goes into this program. Just a little bit that I know about the workload that goes into making this program function is beyond my ability to say anything more than thank you, because we're talking about transitioning folks back into our community through gainful employment, through drug and alcohol services, and we're going to see the impact of this program for generations. And so this program's exciting, this program's needed, and the fact that we're doing it, I'm just so very proud of Grant County for this program. And I guess my next question is, building up to this, knowing the amount of work that's involved, there was some discussion at the meeting we were all at that maybe at some point we grow the program beyond 30 folks that are in it. Is there any discussion about where we go from here? We are not quite at 30, we have 20, but is there thoughts about growing the program?
I think that was originally part of the conversation, if I remember right, is let's figure out, let's see if it's successful. Let's see, can we find 30? Are we doing well? Is it making an impact? And then saying, can we scale it? And I think that was part of the initial conversation. I think it goes back to funding resources, if we say it is making an impact. It is helping. It's really hard to put a dollar amount on somebody's life that gets changed, right? And so as you think about saying, it costs this much money to run a program, but if you think about yes, and these 3 people have changed their entire life because they have a benefit of starting sooner or got services or kind of stabilized early and had the benefit of home detention while they're transitioning. It's hard to put a dollar amount on that. And so it comes down to a funding resource because it would require an additional person. I can tell you that now, now that we're living in it. And so,
One of the things I think we need to see is how are we going to do in terms of cycling people on and off? Meet the objectives, get them wherever they need to be, finish the case, move on to the next person. I think that's really
And we're
important.
only at about 85 days.
Yeah.
We've been running it now 85 days.
Yeah.
So, while that's a testament to all the hard work that everybody's put into it, it's still a short period of time to evaluate the success on it. Now, if Tim Eckerly was here, he would say, this is fantastic because now they're worried about their own insurance and they're paying taxes again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, they're not a burden on,
Mhm.
other than the financial impact of having the staff to do it. They're not sitting in the jail
Mhm.
and they're where they need to be when they're gonna be in the community.
I think too, from the money standpoint, you'd say otherwise these people would be probably shipped out, so to speak, and so that's having a definite impact, a cash impact for us, and so this is one of them that we can see an immediate
right.
savings, so to speak. And also the other thing just has to do with the help. The main thing is though, is expanding it too soon and then you start stretching
Yep.
what you're doing because we don't want to
Right.
obviously implode the program.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but,
I think, as we cycle through. So we're not close to the 90-day review hearings yet on a consistent basis. But it's looking at, do we have to establish a wait list? And I think if we have to find ourselves in a place where we're like, hey, we have a wait list of this long, they could have come in, but they can't really start. So we've kind of been thinking about that ahead of time, looking at, scheduling when we do a request for a court hearing, we also provide an intake date. And that's our earliest availability to get them on the program. So when that gets further away from their court hearing date, we know we've got a wait list. And so I think it's watching that. Maybe the wait list doesn't happen if we kind of move them through at 90 days, or if they take longer than 90 days, or we have a bigger need. It might be one of those things where it's like, we might think about, do we add another 15? Do we add, but I think we won't know until we're in far enough to say, are they coming in and going out fast? So we've had at least one come in and finish already.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
great.
before their 90-day hearing, so it is providing some additional motivation about, case satisfaction, like case closures and things like that. So
I think we'll want some feedback too from judges in particular is, do you believe that the opportunity for pretrial home detention then makes those people more willing to, one, accept a plea that looks at home detention, or is it moving case processing more quickly? I think that would be great data for us to be able to see, hey, is that because the unintended consequence might be of that is that regardless of how many we have on, it's increasing the speed in which cases are getting processed instead of slowing it down. Great to hear from you as we go forward.
I think we've already started discussing expanding a little bit of the target population, like Judge mentioned, is, trying to look at it as another resource. So sometimes we have people sitting in the jail for technical violations, for probation, where it's like, you know what, they do really well as their probation violation is in that pending state, to get them back in the community, kind of refocused and back on their conditions of supervision and into services. And so it's looking at how else can this be utilized to reduce the impact on the jail, but also the second part of that is, which I believe is a big part, is getting people access to care. So we don't want to trade locations. We want to be able to provide services. And so this is our vehicle to be able to do that right now.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for getting it up and running and also that mindset of how do we get this done as opposed to, well, we can't do this because or that. It's like, well, okay, this might be an issue. How do we resolve it? How do we get that done? So thank you.
Well, and I think the learning from that is that collaboration, working together, getting everybody's input, getting all the stakeholders which is we had certainly in this, this is a good example of what you can do when you got everybody pulling on the oars in the same direction, because that's really what happened with this, is that everybody jumped in and we got input from everybody, and that's why it worked. Not everybody on board, things don't work.
It was born out of the jail overcrowding committee, and it's the ultimate, be careful what you ask for program, because if you're asking for help, you're gonna get the opportunity for help. And so, and if you don't take the opportunity, you violate. That's why I'm 100% behind a no bond, because of the fact that we want, if you be careful what you ask for, because we're going to give you help. If you want help and you truly want help, you're going to be provided that opportunity. And that's what makes it exciting for me as a judge, because the few hearings I've been involved in, to have those conversations with individuals and say, look, I'm going to take a chance on you. I'm going to give you an opportunity for home detention. I'm going to release you from the Grant County Jail, but I fully expect in 90 days to be here good progress reports. I expect to hear good things. This is what I know is going to happen. And to see the light in the eyes, to see the kind of engagement that they have when I've had these few conversations, you're going to have folks that are going to violate. You're not everybody's going to make it through the program, and that's certainly for sure, and that's unfortunate. But if you can help one person then the entire program is worth it. The entire program is worth one person changing their life. All right, anything else before, I mean, this is great, and thank you, Melissa. I didn't want to dominate the conversation, but I really believe in what we're doing here. And so does anybody have anything else to add on the agenda item, which is pretrial home detention update? Anything else? All right, the next item that I see here is pretrial policy team updates. Melissa, Jess, and Mike.
Yes, so our policy team actually met about mid-July. We did a pretty data-heavy meeting. It was kind of our midway through the year meeting to go over all of our data. One of the things that stood out the most was pre-trial release provides a supplement report to the courts for bail review hearings. That's something we kind of do on the side just to provide the courts with the most information possible for any bail review hearings that are set. And roughly from January this year until July this year, we've completed 71 bail review reports for the courts. So that's just kind of an extra task that we do, provides the information. It also indicates on the report if they've been screened for pretrial home detention and what the outcome is for that would be. That way the courts are also aware maybe this individual is not appropriate for pretrial home detention based on the target population, or they are in the screening process. Additional data for basically this year to date is we have completed 622 assessments with individuals that are currently incarcerated. Of those assessments that were complete, we've screened 622 and we've completed 313 assessments as of today's date. And then we have completed 207 meaningful first hearings, which those are primarily held in Superior Court 2 with Judge Meeks. And so we're pretty on target for our normal ebbs and flows of screening and court hearings throughout the year. Additionally, one key point that we always like to track is the length of stay. And so this is for individuals that, how long individuals that are released to pretrial remain incarcerated prior to their release. And then also how long individuals that are not released to pretrial are remaining incarcerated. From August of 2023 until August 1st of this year, the average length of stay for individuals that are released is 14 days. And then the average length of stay for individuals that are not released to pretrial supervision is 94 days. And so we're seeing that individuals not released at their meaningful hearing are remaining in for a substantially longer period of time. Other than that, we do have our national conference coming up in August. It's about a 4-day event where it's every pretrial agency throughout the United States comes, and I will have the opportunity to be presenting on a panel discussion for crisis communication within the pretrial system. This is the first time for this presentation, so it'll be an exciting one as far as crisis management. And then we will have our regular policy team meeting coming up in October. I don't have that date yet, but everyone that is part of that will be receiving the little calendar invites soon. So pretrial release is still around, and we are working really closely with pretrial home detention also, specifically individuals that are not released at meaningfuls. Pretrial home detention is notified immediately if they may fit the criteria for pretrial home detention also. So we have that collaboration going also.
Might add, Grant County Pretrial is going on the road show. Jess and I are going to be
Yes.
presenting at the annual judicial conference in September. And I think last I heard earlier this week, last week, there's 93 judges that are signed up for our session. So we should have a good audience. And so we're presenting with a large county and a small county. We're a medium-sized county. So, yeah.
I have a question more for judges. This this bail review, how do you guys view that? Because to me, you're receiving information that's outside potentially an evidentiary hearing. And it seems like if you have this information, which nobody else really knows because they've taken the time to do it, and that's not put into evidence, are you using the fact
Sent to the
potentially?
lawyers.
I'm sorry?
Sent to the lawyers.
Well, I know it is. But if nobody puts any evidence in on, say, someone missed a hearing, because obviously if someone missed a hearing before, we're not gonna bring that up as defense counsel. If the state doesn't bring it up, do you still view you have the right to use that as a reason to keep bail where it is, or?
Well, if you think the information's wrong, you should be bringing that up at the hearing.
I
And then I'm listening to that.
I understand that completely, but my question is, you're theoretically receiving information outside of a hearing. And are you using that information outside that, if it's not brought into that hearing, are you using that information to determine bail? Because that to me doesn't seem to be right. I'm not saying anyone's doing that. I'm just asking a general question because this is very new.
I mean, you do that with a pre-sentence investigation report, you do that, I mean, there's lots of ways you get information from your, court services that help you make a decision. But as long as it's being shared amongst the parties, I don't see any issue with it because you have the opportunity to challenge it if you don't agree.
So
with it.
if we as defense attorneys get it the day before, how do we have an opportunity to even go through any of that before the hearing?
If you need a continuance, ask for a continuance.
I know, but then someone just jail over it.
And
But-
there,
But I mean, we're setting those hearings very quickly for bail review, and so, I mean, it's,
I was just curious what. So it sounds like,
I don't know, I'm just me talking.
I'm getting them like 4 or 5 days. in
Yeah, I was gonna
advance.
say, yeah.
Not the day before.
I was curious what your perspective was on that information.
Same as Judge Spitzer for me.
If you always have the ability to challenge it, and
I
I'm
understand,
listening
but
to
you
it.
can understand from the defense perspective, sometimes there might be information in there the state doesn't bring up. Why would we want to challenge it? Why do we even want to bring it up? Because in my mind, you're ruling on the evidence you hear at the hearing. You're not ruling on evidence outside of the hearing, which is not brought in the hearing.
You're discussing tactics with me, and what I'm concerned about is not whose tactics, I'm concerned about getting the right decision, so.
Very good.
Yeah.
So your suggestion is bring it up in the hearing.
Yes, yes, I would, I absolutely, if there's something you believe is incorrect, then bring it up. I'm sure Jess would like to hear that as well, so, yeah.
I could just envision a scenario where, let's say someone had missed some hearings in the past and no evidence is put on during the hearing yet. You cite that as a reason for denying bond. That to me seems like that should not be correct.
Well, here's an example. So if I mean, I know that, for example, our city courts have had a policy of citing people in for fines and costs later on after their case is completed, and then there's failure to appears for that. I don't give that a lot of weight because I understand that there may be a bad address and things like that. So, I mean, we do try and exercise some perspective when we make those decisions, believe it or not, David.
Jess, are those filed into the case or are they just emailed?
they historically have not been e-filed, but that is absolutely something that we can start completing to ensure that they're received in a timely manner.
Cause I know the last one I had, I saw right before, I saw the morning of, and I was very surprised that it was there because I'm thinking this should not be happening as a defense attorney. That's my thoughts. I'm getting this right before, and I don't think any of this should be considered as evidence because it's not put into a hearing.
Would it be
If we
for
get it
them to
several days in
email and
advance.
e-file both?
No, I can absolutely do both.
Yeah.
That's how I got it, was to
Well,
be
if you
fine.
e-file it, it's on the record of the case, we just take judicial notice of it, whether. or
If you
not-
do that, that's fine. But I don't know if that's something you could take, I don't want to get into a big legal discussion here, but I'm not sure it's something that judicial notice can be taken notice of, but I haven't thought that through yet.
If something pops up on that, I mean, I usually try and ask the parties about it and get a response,
The
then
big
it's gonna be the
thing is,
basis.
if we
of
get
my
it several
decision.
days ahead of time, that would be very helpful.
I think that's the well taken issue is
Yeah.
the attorneys getting the information
Yes,
in
yes.
advance of the hearing.
so we can prepare for it.
And again, if you don't feel like you have adequate time or you get it and you
Right.
need to request a continuance, then I would typically grant that
Sure.
and then, but still make sure that we get it in a hearing quickly set, so.
Very good.
And even set it the next day, whichever time was requested, find time the next day.
All right. Thank you.
David, you wanted to talk about invasion of privacy, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess I was curious why invasion of privacies are excluded from pretrial detention. And the reason I ask is I've got a client who might be potentially the least violent person you're ever gonna meet. Just as in love with her boyfriend, and they want to be together, but yet she's sitting in jail, taking up a jail space, in my mind, for no reason whatsoever. Because she can't get on home detention, she can't get on pretrial because she's got an invasion of privacy charge. And I was curious what the logic was, why those people are being ruled out. And if they are ruled out, is there a way maybe to investigate or give the judge the ability to at least get it to a hearing where they can make that decision whether they should be ruled out rather than just a flat denial up front, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think probably what you're talking about is an exception to the rule, because most of them are not like that. Most of them are pretty violent, pretty persistent,
I would disagree with that.
And have not followed the
stay away, the no contact.
the
order.
direct
Yeah.
order of the judge,
Yeah.
which is kind of important when you're putting somebody
Which
on. Yeah.
true. But you're still, I think, there are nonviolent people out there. I think the judge should have the ability to be able to hear that and make that determination for themselves, rather than just flat out and reviewed up front, and we don't even get the right to do that.
So part of our ability to do is to take referral, so the judges can then in turn say, I'd like this person considered for pretrial home detention. They can also come from attorneys.
So even though the person's denied, we could still ask they be reviewed?
So if they're outside of the parameters,
Yes.
are probably, if it comes to us that way, we're most likely gonna look at it and say, probably not the best candidate. If there were extenuating circumstances, we might be able to kind of look at those, but they could come, like if the judges want to say, I'd like this person considered for pretrial home detention. That could be an option. It really comes down to the safety of the community, right? So they're out on pretrial release, pretrial home detention. If they decide that, you know what, I'm done with this and I'm gonna cut my strap and I'm gonna go see that person, we have no ability to stop that from
I
happening.
understand that in some cases, but there are also cases, and I see this every day, where it's way overblown, in my opinion. And I think these are the types of cases which the judge should be able to hear the evidence and make a determination, well, this person probably is okay, rather than just a flat out denial up front because of the label of the charge.
I think it certainly could be something that we talk about when we reconvene the work group to discuss what our, because we've already had discussions about how do we expand the target population, you know. But I think it could be part of that discussion that we
At least a case by case basis.
set up for
And I
a
will-
future meeting.
I will say it is not just at face value. It's that, and specifically that case was not looked at just the charges. I was the one that actually looked thoroughly through the circumstances around that case, the criminal history, the pending matters. And so just to say that we are just looking at the charges and making a determination, I wouldn't say that is accurate. We
Well, I
do
thought it
look
was
at
just
them.
because of the charge you were ruled out automatically.
That was the number one indication, and then there was further review.
So
We
you'll only
look at the
get,
cases.
sometimes you might get just that as the reason for the denial, just like regular home detention denials, but once that's addressed, there's 4 or 5 other things that are part of it. We're just giving you
If
the meat of what.
If we have the
denial is.
ability to go back and ask for a judicial review, that's fine, that solves the problem. And it sounds like everybody's fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will have to set up a way to do that, but I think maybe that's probably part of the discussion at the
Could
future,
we do that in the future? Yeah, let's talk
in a
about that.
future meeting.
We
I mean,
need
these
a-
cases are-
That's what we do.
These cases are difficult, you know, I mean, we've all found PC on one where they're riding around together in a car, you know, is that invasion of privacy? Yeah, but, you know.
That's the situation that I'm talking about.
So I, you know, I don't know, the cases are difficult and, you know, obviously the smart thing to do would be to say, I don't need this protective order anymore. Court, can we please remove that so we can ride around together in a car? But that's not what people do. So then you gotta pick up the
And
pieces.
then it takes all of our time to deal with
Yeah.
it.
I think too, David, as we convene this meeting to look at, again, jail alternatives and review that, it would be good if you brought specific examples, or maybe even gave us notice before the meeting, then we'd have an opportunity to
Sure.
be able to look at it and say, okay,
Sure.
Jess listed that one, but here were the other things that were involved. Then we can look at it and see, is there an opportunity to change?
Sure.
But I like the idea of a hearing, and I'll tell you why. Yesterday, I overrode a home detention denial, but it was because we had a hearing. The state of Indiana didn't object. There's a lot of factors in that, but that's an example of having a hearing and how a situation where the state did not object. And so that would give an opportunity for the state to weigh in at that hearing as
I
well.
know all the judges have done it on after or at sentencing or whatever, and they get to hear the evidence to make that determination. This specific issue was pretrial though. So, but if we can make that adjustment, then that would be,
And
that'd
Dave,
really be
remember,
helpful.
85 days in.
I know.
85 days in. after something- You know,
Bringing up an issue.
I
potentially to
know,
discuss.
but we're 85 days in.
We're talking about policy. so I
Yeah.
thought Maybe a minor tweaking of the policy, that's all, nothing more.
We'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
All right, good input. All right, then, do anybody else, we've certainly heard from Jess and Mike and Melissa want to weigh in on pretrial policy, team updates. I don't want to leave anybody out.
I think Jess does a good job covering all those things for us. She wouldn't probably
Absolutely. She does.
admit it, but she does a great job. And I think, I think one thing that, probably needs, she slid it in there that she's speaking at a national conference, but I think what's important is Grant County, Indiana is speaking at a national conference, meaning that people have seen that there's value in what's happening here locally, that they want to put it on the national platform. They're also getting it at the state level as well. So, that's kind of, representative of the work that Jess and her team do every day, following best practice standards as it relates to pretrial services. So, it's not just something that we're doing in the background. It is something that we're doing really well. And it has kind of caught the attention, at the national level. But, Jess does a great job leading her team.
Got our second staff spotlight. Thank you. All right. And so the next thing, the member reports, public defender.
Two things. Number one, we're gonna have major turnover at the end of the year. Mr. Elliott's leaving. He's gonna retire. And he's been a true advocate for the public. And it's gonna be a big loss, losing another public defender. The county council and commissioners have been great in getting the pay where it needs to be, where I think those positions are gonna get filled, thanks to the work they've done. And secondly, I just want to comment on Gary. I worked with him for the first 15 years of reentry court. And most of the people in here know, reentry court went from being a program, people coming out of prison, oh God, do I have to do that? Why do I want to do that? To where now they understand it is something to truly help them get on their feet when they get out. If there's a better one in the state of Indiana, I'd like to see it. And the caseworkers, including you, Gary, are fantastic in that program. They deal with people who are difficult to deal with. And it's not easy trying to get someone who has criminal thinking to do that. And Judge Todd spends a lot of time with them every Friday morning, and it's truly remarkable. That program, drug court, which Judge Spitzer oversees, those programs are invaluable to what we do. So Gary, keep up the good work, bud. Thank you.
So I don't know that we have anybody from the prosecutor's office. Radiant Health?
Sure.
Yes.
So we recently learned there is a delay getting individuals once they're released into medication management services at Radiant. So in October, we're launching a more direct access for those individuals in to see a prescriber with Dr. Khan at our North location. I think last meeting, Jenna talked about having a therapist available 7 days a week at our North location for people to walk in and have assessments done and start in treatment immediately. We'll be expanding that for a targeted population of those that are released and are referred in to get in with Dr. Khan more quickly so medications can start and we can remove that barrier. Another thing at Radiant for everyone to be aware of is you may have heard on the news that the changes around Medicaid are occurring. So to date, we've seen an 18% decrease in number of individuals who qualify for Medicaid. Medicaid has not ran in the black from a cost perspective at the state level, so they're looking at how do they control cost. As of January, there will be a segment of the Medicaid population, those individuals that are likely underemployed, so their pay is fairly low, that traditionally has been on what is considered a Medicaid HIP plan, so they pay to be on Medicaid. There will be work requirements that are rolled out as of January for those individuals. So often they are working, but they will have to report that data back to the state. If they don't report, they will lose their Medicaid. So we're working with, it impacts about 1,000 of the people we serve, to make sure they understand they're responsible to go to the state website to submit evidence of working, volunteering, or education that's occurring, so they don't lose their Medicaid when they're underemployed and trying to be successful and engage in treatment. So just FYI.
Great.
Stacy, are you getting, I'm sending you a list of who we have in advance releases coming.
Yes.
Is that helping?
That is helping.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Marion Health Task Force. Grant County Sheriff. And I will reach out to Sheriff Garcia about needing to attend these meetings. And 'cause I know for the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 meetings, he's been on the agenda and not appeared. All right, moving on. Marion Police Department, anybody from Marion Police Department?
We might do the same with the chief.
Right.
Just to see, check on him too.
Be happy to do that. I don't know that chief's been on our agenda, but I'd definitely be happy to do that. Grant County Court Services.
The only thing, other thing I think is important to add is talking about the Justice Partners Grant. So the Justice Partners Grant has said that there's going to have an 8th and final year of funding. And so it's a reduced amount compared to previous years. We use that funding, we have used it for several years to do a couple of things. One is for training. So the state cut funding for training. We've used that to help kind of shore up some training opportunities for us, to continue to help equip our staff to do the work that we're asking them to do. And then we also use it to help fund the purchasing of all of the materials for our in-house groups. So all of the groups that we're running, I was looking at September, and I think we're gonna have about 26 or 27 groups running in the month. So those are opportunities for our participants, people on community supervision, to go into what's an evidence-based skill building group to learn skills. Some of them are for what's co-occurring, mental health and substance use. Some of those are, like one of them is what Gary runs for responsible thinking. And there's trauma specific that are, groups that are gender specific as well. So we've just looked at the needs of the populations that we are serving and started aligning those with these particular groups. And it has allowed us to really kind of expand the dosage of supervision exponentially. We're getting good kind of results from those efforts as well in terms of pre and post tests that we're using. We're starting to see that it's not just changing the way people are thinking, but it's actually translating to behavioral change. And so that's promising as well. So we've used this funding to pay for that in a way, because that curriculum can be a little pricey because each one has a workbook with it. But we do that at no charge to our clients. So we're not charging our clients to participate in these groups. It is a service that we're giving to them. And so we've been fortunate enough to be able to kind of stock up on some of those groups and expand the ones that we're doing and offering. And so we put in for funding for training, we put in for funding for more of those materials. And with the addition of some of the things that we're doing, like with pretrial home detention and the importance of gathering evidence-based assessment tools. So we've been able to get funding for that to be able to purchase things that help us to look at very specific domains. So substance use, mental health. So some of those scales that you do, they all, the ones that are kind of been around for a while generally cost some money to purchase. So we've been able to buy those because we know everything hinges on understanding the person that we're working with. So if I know what your risk needs are, I can better align the services that are going to be recommended for you. So, looking at assessment driving case planning for us. And so we've been able to have funding in the past for those as well. So this year, the grant was a quick turnaround, but it does require, making sure that our local JRAC is aware of that particular grant. And so we just continued with the same route. We didn't see ourselves stopping in-house groups or stopping assessments or stopping the need for training. And so it just allows us to have some funding to continue those. But I wanted to make the team aware of that as well. They did say it's the final year after 8 years. So that's just a funding source from external to us. So I think it's a federally derived that comes down to the state and then gets broken out to the counties. So, but it's helped us tremendously in being able to start and sustain some things. Don't know if you have any questions about that particular grant or anything, but.
Spurling?
How much is the grant?
Well, so when it first started out, they capped it at 60,000 a year. And then it's kind of dwindled. I think this year was like 38,000, I think is what we got. I think they're gonna do another reduction again this year, just because the funding is just getting smaller. So we'll utilize whatever they give us for those items, but I would anticipate a smaller amount this year too.
Yeah, but if the grant goes away, what are you gonna do?
So what we would do is, a lot of times we try to figure out how to work that into like user fees or, trying to figure out how to make that happen. Right now,
Look for
we're,
more grants.
look for more grants,
Yeah.
try to find more money.
Yep.
We do buy, so when we get the opportunity, when we get a grant check, we buy ahead as much as we can. So, we've got, quite a few file cabinets filled with material, but we go through them quickly. But we try and buy ahead to make sure that we can meet the need for the future.
So what basically kind of like balance do you gotta have to make it be efficient, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think what we'd have to do is look at like, the number, we would break down the number of groups and individuals served, and we'd be able to, because each one of them costs different.
Yeah.
Amounts of money, if we're gonna start a financial literacy class, and, those books are quite expensive compared to some of the other groups, but it's much longer group, so, they could run from anywhere from $3 a workbook up to, I want to say some of them that we're using for Veterans Court and Drug Court could run up to close to $15 a book. So I think what we would do is just reevaluate which ones are we gaining the most benefit out of. So one of the things that we've been doing is capturing data. And so we can measure which ones have the biggest impact. And so then we'll focus, probably if we have to focus only on those, that's the ones we'll focus on.
Spurling, did you have an update too as our commissioner? And thank you for coming. You're the next on the list.
Not really. We're just, working away at the D-home, trying to get through till we get this third commissioner, which will hopefully be Thursday. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you. Skits, you are next.
Yeah, probably, the one thing that was discussed at our most recent meeting, I don't know if anybody had seen it, was, that local jail lit had been passed and approved, which is now in place for 2026 and moving forward. And some members of the council felt like that was only for a new jail. And as I recall, and I don't know if it was discussed publicly or not, but the thought is that if we didn't build a new jail, there may be maintenance issues that needed to be performed at our old jail, so that that could be used for it. So I don't know if we're gonna do some type of a reaffirming that we would say, yes, this is in place, but we're gonna leave it in place maybe for 2 years or 3 years to have $6 or $9 million so that it could be used on our facilities. And actually, according to what I've read in there, and David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I had read in there that it can be even used for operations, should that need arise. And something very interesting that's happened this year, only being my second year on the council, but for the last 3 years, we've had in there the juvenile detention center operating salaries and all those expenses of about 1.4 million. And that is gone this year. A couple people took it out, which is kind of surprising to me that that just disappears. But we still have the out of county funding. So if this local facility was open, we do have in the budget 1.1 million that funds out of county. Instead, we would employ people to be in county. And that might also be a potential drug treatment center that could be run over there as well, which I think we kind of had a discussion on that. Some of us did, and I was looking to have maybe a second discussion about it as well. Just because it might be a gap that maybe we're missing is kind of what it sounded like to helping some of our citizens who are struggling with drugs to have a real good in jail treatment program. So anyway, those are some of the things that obviously the council's working on, and all of these things are, take funding and things like that. Dr. Peyton Scott had done a presentation at our last meeting talking about drug programs or issues that we have in our community. And I did actually talk to Randy Atkins before I came here, and asked him, where are you at on this? And he said, I'm on board. He said, we need to do this. We really need to help our community. And so, I was encouraged by that. Again, that just because we always have, turnover and things like that on the council and every elected position potential, that we might have some of that continuity. Because I think hearing from Judge Spitzer, it's, if you're gonna do it right. And we don't want to do a stop start. And so I kind of one of those things where you're trying to make sure everybody's on board and also not step on toes and upset anybody as well. So it's definitely a balancing act. So, yeah.
And I believe if you do read that jail tax too, we can also use it for rehab. You know what I mean? I think that could help you. You know what I'm saying?
Like a residential.
I read it. I mean, it says you can use it for rehab too.
Yeah, it does.
I thought it was rehabilitation and programming, but I'd have to look at it again.
Right.
I can tell you that the Association of Indiana Counties they have a lot of information in terms of the changes in the tax structure and how that, and they will even, come and talk to us about it if there are questions about that. And they're putting up some webinars and things like that on their site as well, explaining the changes and what the different options are to fund local government. And so, as I heard that, I was thinking that might be something we might want to take advantage of as a county to get that information, so we have a better understanding of and particularly, obviously, you guys who have the checkbook, what the options are in terms of funding local government with all the changes that are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, that meeting was well attended. It was at 7 a.m. And thank you for putting that together. And if there's any further meetings, just let us know, because thank you. All right. Next updates, Judge Todd.
I'm
You're
on the
next.
agenda. I didn't see,
Report.
I didn't see my name.
It says Grant County Judges, so I was gonna.
Oh, so you picked on me.
Went from left to right.
I was gonna go around
I
the
have
table.
nothing new to report.
Okay, which is a fine report. Judge Meeks, I'm going on the agenda.
I don't think I have anything other than Magistrate Lawson and myself have had I think 3 meetings with Judge Felix from the Indiana Court of Appeals. We're looking to rejoin the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative Program. Apparently that was something Grant County was in long before my time on the bench, and they gave it up for, I don't know, good reason, I'm sure. So we're trying to find out, is that something we want to get back into or not, and get the details on that. So more info coming. So.
Thank you for that report. Judge Spitzer.
Drug court is full and vet court is full now. We have wait lists. We've got a graduation coming up in, November 3rd, I think, election day at 6:30. It's at First Christian Church, the one with the arc on the front of it yeah. So everybody's welcome to attend if you'd like. That's drug court graduation. We got several people that are getting ready to graduate in vet court as well. So we'll schedule something for vet court coming up pretty soon too. So, and then as soon as we get those people graduated, we've got people waiting to get in again. So.
Thank you for that update. The only thing I would add is that, not having a operational elevator creates a lot of problems being on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
Because we've got folks that just can't take the stairs of any kind. And so what we're doing is using our referee space, our referee courtroom, at wherever we can to make accommodations for folks that can't take the stairs, because denial to access to justice is unacceptable. Now, what does that do? That requires our staff to go up and down the stairs more times a day than I can recall. But that's what we're doing, because we'll have folks that we need to go downstairs and address their hearing. And our referee court is very busy Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, as Mr. Blickfield knows. And so we can't get in there on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays typically, because we have hearings around the clock those 3 days. But having that space, having that referee court, thank you for building that courtroom, because having it now is vital to addressing cases that are pending before my court and having a ground floor space to do it. So thank you, Mr. Pauling. I know you were.
And we contacted them. Yeah, they're coming, they're building them. So hopefully they'll be here.
Well, having that courtroom, and you were instrumental in providing that courtroom to our court. Thank you for that. Having that referee courtroom's been invaluable. All right. I know our meetings will run long, so I want to make sure that we stay on time if we can. The last thing I have, other than concerns, other businesses, state JRAC, Judge Spitzer.
Yeah, and we're just looking at the next legislative session and thinking about some about legislation. And so there's a lot of new legislators. The legislative session is going to be a little bit different, I think, than we've seen in the past. Maybe not different in a good way, who knows? So it's just something to keep we're monitoring that situation. And trying to mitigate as much as possible any things that happen, like this community corrections kind of snafu. So we shall see.
All right.
Judge, you provided that too. I didn't know if that was part of the bail. Or I didn't know if that was part of that, or that was something that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that's, it's just, it's CJI, the Criminal Justice Institute did a bail pretrial release and rearrest report. It's just for information purposes only, and some data with regards to pretrial release in the state. And so if you're interested in that, it's worth looking at. I just wanted to share that with
It would
everybody.
be in all your packets, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, thanks for reminding me.
Concerns, other business? Hearing none, adjournment motion?
Motion made.
All right, by Judge Meeks, second.
Second.
Mr. Pauling, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Right.